Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages who shouldn't be listening to this podcast because there are going to potentially be some sweary words and some humor that is meant for adults. So if you are a child listening to this, switch it off, hand the phone over to your parents, and behave. Welcome to Two Fat Gingers Ride Again. So I think this is our second reboot of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember right.
Yes.
We have decided to use avatars for this. If you're watching, and if you're listening, then you have no idea what the fuck I'm speaking about. The only thing is, with the avatars, the visual cues that we get from speaking to each other through camera are not quite there.
Yep.
Yep. See what I mean?
And I have been told I look like a baby with a beard.
You do look,
and that's in real life, so you know.
Yeah. You've got baby beard face. Yeah. It is kind of, and if you turn your head too far to the side, the beard on you looks like plasticine. I don't know what it looks like on me, but it looks a bit like plasticine on your face.
Yeah,
it's about the same.
It's a bit plasticine.
So welcome back, audience. You can tell already that we are well practiced in this. We've been rehearsing incessantly. We have not just knocked this together in short notice and just discovered the avatars just before we came on.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're late. But then, of course, we don't do this live, so nobody knows that. So we're not late at all. That's nonsense. Late? Who's late?
We're perfectly on time. Absolutely perfectly on time. So it's been 2 years since we last did this, Ginger Chris.
Was the last one we did the Lockdown Mania?
No, the last one we did was the reboot, which I think was our 28th episode. Yes, we did the reboot in 2021.
Oh, did we? I didn't remember doing one in 2021.
You should go back and listen to it. It's really good.
Yeah, so should everyone else.
Yes, absolutely.
But not before we monetize it, because, I mean, let's be honest.
People are going to want to see the ginger baby.
Yes. You won't see a ginger baby in that one, though, will you?
No, you'll see the ginger baby in this one, yeah.
Yeah. We had a period of time where I was animating these with, like, I don't know what you would call that. What was the Canadian cartoon in South Park? Terrence and Phillip.
Terrence and Phillip, yes.
It was Terrence and Phillip faces just bouncing up and down. It was not magnificent.
It was not. Tell me, did you just have your eyes closed for a period of time there? Because your avatar's eyes closed. It's like...
No, but they are now.
Are they?
Are they closed now?
No, your avatar...
My eyes are closed and my mouth is open.
There you go. No, yeah. So they were for a bit there. Your avatar was obviously so bored by what you were saying. That does not bode well for the audience.
No, it doesn't. What does it know?
Yes. So if you're watching this on YouTube or the Facebook, excuse me, with my coughing, I'm not editing any of this. By the way, no audio is being edited. So, we better not make any too bad jokes. But if you're watching this on the Facebook or the YouTube, tell us what you think of the avatars, because, it'd be good to get that feedback of saying, don't do it again. It's too freaky. Especially seeing as mine's got lipstick. So what have you spent 2 years doing? Man. Oh, yeah. What have you spent 2 years doing? What have I spent 2 years doing?
Oh, God. That's a good question. Getting less ginger. My beard is very much, my RL beard is now very much a Scottish fusion, Scottish Asian fusion, I'd say, of salt and ginger. Now, sadly, the avatar does not let me reflect that. What else have I been doing? Getting fatter. So, getting ready for this, essentially. Yeah. Except fatter and less ginger, that doesn't work.
Building up.
More or less that. And working. That's it. So nothing else.
Have you been gaming? You used to game quite a lot.
Yes, I still game from time to time. Yeah.
What's your game of choice at the moment?
At the moment, I'm playing Hitman 3.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And how are you? Because I think we did mention this briefly in our offline conversations over the WhatsApp. I think it's called, isn't it? I'm absolutely terrible at Hitman. Stealth in games is not my thing.
I would never have said I was particularly good at stealth, but I'm not bad at Hitman.
Okay.
I mean, I don't find myself needing to play it on easy. And I don't know how I would feel playing it on hard. But yeah, everything seems accomplishable. It's just a bit of patience. Just creep around, and I generally speaking, I will try all the levels without killing people. Well, not killing people because that'd be stupid. Your whole point is killing people, but not killing anybody I'm not supposed to. And I will try and find all the different people whose clothes I can change into. So I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, and oh yeah, always find the security room and take out any footage of myself. And I quite like it. I mean, it's challenging, it's fun, but it's the environments. I love the environments. They're very, very, very detailed and pleasant to be in, if that makes sense. But yeah, I got it just the other week and have played my way through the Hitman 1, which I'd played before, and Hitman 2, which I hadn't. So I've only just started the Hitman 3 storyline. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's been fun. And that's what I've been using to test out the new rig.
Well, yes, your new sexy rig. If you think
Yes.
Henry Cavill building a PC is sexy, just wait until you see the Instagram pictures that will never be available of a fat, ginger, middle-aged man building a PC.
Henry Cavill building a PC is sexy?
Apparently, so do you not know this? Henry Cavill is a huge nerd. So not only is he a Witcher fan,
yeah, I was
Warhammer.
aware he was a huge nerd, but I think I've seen him playing Warhammer or D&D of some description online. Who was the other guy? The other Superman is as well. The Brandon Ruth.
I was about to say not Christopher Reeve because he's no longer with us.
He might have been a huge nerd.
I don't think nerds ride horses, do they? Generally, nerds don't ride horses.
I mean, I don't know if there's a rule.
I don't think there's a rule. I think it's more just a guideline.
Hang on a minute. Let me check my book.
Did you get a book? I just got the app.
Oh, yeah. I'm like alpha tier. The alpha tier nerd society.
Oh, yeah. You build.
I get input into the rules now.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
You build your own PCs. You're alpha nerd.
I don't know that that's alpha nerdy anymore.
No.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, a lot of the YouTube I watch out of hours and stuff is tech stuff, and so I'm in this environment and I work in IT. I'm not entirely sure what real people do, so I don't know what's nerdy and what's not really.
I think real people have sex.
What?
Yes.
Have what now?
It's a rumor. I heard a rumor
Sex.
that non-nerds have sex.
Wait, is that what the people on the websites do?
Hey, but not on the YouTube, but on the you something.
Some kind of tube, anyway.
Yes. But yes, apparently that's what non-nerds do. They have sex and drink beer. Not necessarily in that order.
Or at the same time?
No, because that could get very messy, couldn't it?
That's what I'm thinking.
Don't waste beer.
I mean, how would I know? You know.
Yes. It's two fat ginger virgins. right again. For the first time.
Beer back. Sorry.
The only thing funnier than these, to me, anyway, maybe not 10 on us, but the only thing funnier than that was seeing the avatars laugh their heads off there was quite amusing as well.
Yes, indeed. It's quite bizarre how it does it. I mean, not bizarre. I suppose I figure this is how it works, but it's odd to see it happening just a little later as well, as if it's laughing at you. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Dear you. Cheeky little avatar swag.
And the avatar on this is better. So, they will be consuming all of this data to make it better.
No doubt. No doubt at all.
Which
who owns this Zoom thing?
Who owns
is Zoom still a Zoom thing?
It's George.
George who?
You don't know George?
No.
See, this is why I'm the one wearing the tie. Because I'm the one with the connections.
Right.
Me and George go way back.
George owns Zoom.
George owns Zoom. We just call him George Zoom now.
Okay.
He's slightly older than us, so he's a baby Zoomer.
I'm smelling shite.
Your little nose is twitching on your avatar.
Is it really?
I think no. This is where it's the way your beard's moving.
Okay.
I actually thought your nose was twitching there. I was like, oh, that would have been spot on if your nose was twitching. But yeah, so I have no idea who owns Zoom, but I'm getting they did big business, I believe, in the lockdown. Whether they managed to sustain it with teams advancing quite significantly. Zoom's not exactly the cheapest option in the world, but it allows us to have these pretty avatars, if nothing else.
No, I was just curious to see if they'd been wheaked up by one of the big ones. I mean, it seems unlikely it'd be Microsoft, but wouldn't have been at all surprised to find out they were owned by Meta or something by this point.
Maybe I guess they're too busy laying people off. I guess if you build something decent enough, you might be able to hold off the big boys for a while until you get the
you get the real big
billions.
Money.
Yeah, the billions. Like we're going to sell, obviously, our podcast for.
Oh yeah, of course.
This will be the first $1 billion podcast, I think, especially with the effort that we've put in. So hey Matthew, have you? This is a stupid question because I kind of know the answer to this question. Mandalorian. Since we last spoke, the Mandalorian has emerged from Disney Plus's catalog. Womb. I was going to say anus, and I thought anus just sounded wrong, but you've gone for womb, so it's close, but not the same.
I guess it depends whether you think it's good or not. Which of the orifices of Disney it came from.
I love Mandalorian. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
Me too.
What's become really clear though, and spoilers if you haven't watched up to, I think we're on. They call them chapters, don't they? We're on chapter 20. Yes. Came out on Wednesday. Have you seen the latest chapter?
I've not seen the one that came out just yesterday. No.
I won't spoil that then, but I think from the ones previous through season 2, so season 1 seemed very standalone, didn't it? It seemed very standalone. Season 2 began to introduce elements of the wider Star Wars universe.
Yep.
And season 3, I feel, has gone full retcon of well, not retcon, sorry, because it's not really retconning, but it's beginning to lay the groundwork for, it feels like, for the sequels, essentially. Bringing in Star Wars Rebels as well as Ahsoka, obviously. And the space whales and spoilers if you've not watched the first 19 chapters of Mandalorian, by the way. In which case, again, you probably switched off by now anyway, because I don't think it'd be your flavor of tea. But yeah, they do seem to be going for the explaining how the Emperor clones himself and all that stuff, sort of stuff, and building up to that, which feels kind of weird because it almost felt better not to have that shared universe thing. Although it was in the Star Wars universe, it was kind of standalone. And I'm not sure if I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to be excited about them bringing in other Star Wars elements, which is something I never thought I'd say. I thought Boba Fett was a stretch to begin with.
I don't hate some elements of it, but there are some elements I am undecided on.
Yeah,
like I wasn't. It was okay. They've brought in Mandalorians. It would have been, I guess, hard. Given that Dave Filoni's involved in it, it would have been. If my avatar closes his eyes, it's because I am. I do this a lot when I think. I close my eyes and draw back the curtains to see for certain what I thought was. Anyway, let's not do that. The Dave Filoni's involved, and Dave Filoni essentially created Rebels and Clone Wars. So it would have been pretty hard for him to be as involved with a Mandalorian-based show and not bring in the Mandalorian stories that he essentially created there. But I wasn't particularly interested to see him go back to Mandalore. I wasn't particularly interested. I mean, I like Katie Sackhoff, but I wasn't particularly interested to see her. What's her? Can't remember her character's name.
Bo-Katan.
Yeah. Wasn't particularly interested to see her character being brought in. I mean, she was nice at the end of season 2. Yeah, kind of almost as she was in there for a couple of episodes, and of course our girl Mercedes, whatever her name as well.
Well, it's not how we really know her, is it?
No, of course not. But it's what she goes by now.
Sasha Banks.
Yeah, we're not allowed to call her anymore. She doesn't work for the Dubs, does she? Yeah, I suppose so.
We can call her what we want as long as it's not overly offensive.
I feel vaguely rude not knowing her surname. That's terrible.
Yeah, but so
Glad I knew her first name though.
So I've been watching a lot. So I rewatched the entire 7 seasons of Buffy. So
Okay.
whenever anybody says Mercedes, I think McNabb, who played Harmony in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and an Angel.
I see.
So whenever anyone says Mercedes, so I would recognize the name if I saw it. But you're saying Mercedes, and my brain just goes McNabb.
Yeah. But yeah, I was. It was nice to see them as a kind of that's fun and there. But when they were in the season 3 and just sitting there on their throne in that weird like over the arm thing, don't know what that was about. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I suppose, but I don't know.
I did think
she was not a character I was that excited about.
I did think at the end of season 2 that when we found out she was being brought back in season 3, I did wonder if she was going to be the baddie. Yeah.
Well, there's a whole thing about
that.
there's a whole thing about that lightsaber that he's got now, the dark saber. The whole story around about that, and it seems to be something that it feels like it's something that she has to get into her hands at some point, which means she has to win it off him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I read today, and I'm assuming this is true because I think it came from the mouth of Jon Favreau, that the Darksaber was actually George Lucas's invention. Because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau didn't know how lightsabers worked. So when they were doing, I think it was the Clone Wars, it must have been the Clone Wars rather than Rebels, they had somebody fighting a Jedi with a vibroblade, and George Lucas, he was obviously a consultant of some sort on this, and he came forward and said, look, that the vibroblades wouldn't stop a thing. So they essentially invented the Darksaber as a weapon that could stop a lightsaber in the Mandalorian hands type thing. Which takes away some of the lore from the stories, I guess, that it was. But
is that suggesting the Darksaber was invented by Lucas around about the time that Clone Wars was being done then?
Yes.
Because I think it's existed for longer than that. I think it's been in extended universe for longer than Clone Wars. I think. I'm not certain, but I think it's been a thing associated with, like, supposedly it was the Mandalorian Jedi that had the Darksaber. And I think that's been a thing in lore for longer than Clone Wars has existed. But I'm not 100% certain. I know a bit of extended universe, but not a huge amount.
Yeah. As I say, I'm not huge on the extended universe either because I don't like reading. I find it overly complex and tiring for my little brain. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. However, audiobooks, on the other hand,
yes.
So we're just going to jump all over the place in this now. Audiobooks I've been listening to, and I've been listening to the Thrawn series.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever?
I've read them.
Yeah.
Haven't listened to them.
Okay.
Audiobooks are a funny thing for me. I've never found a place in my life for them.
Well, I used to do a lot of driving, so I guess that is that is. So just going back, because I've just Googled it because I couldn't face the concept of not being right. The Darksaber first appeared in the Clone Wars.
So it had never been in any media or anything.
Doesn't appear to be. It'd be originally intended for previously to fight using the vibroblade. The weapon was later altered at the request of George Lucas, who opposed the idea that a non-lightsaber can block a lightsaber, and came up with an archaic, one-of-a-kind, black-bladed saber called the Darksaber.
All right, okay.
Thank you, Google, for saving my pride in knowing that I did read something earlier correctly off of the internet.
Wow, you really went right behind that thing you read on the internet, didn't you? Honest to goodness.
Well, I
am willing to discard anything I've read on the internet, anything to quote from the internet like that. Just like, and anyone listening to this podcast should understand words coming from my mouth. Feel free, discard them like that as well. Because
I mean, I can't be wrong. I have this
but that's the thing. I'm not
right
wrong
all the time.
If I quote something, I'm not the one that's wrong. The person I quoted is wrong, or the person that they quoted is wrong. It's like, I'm not invested in that.
Maybe I'm just a different type of ginger.
Evidently so.
I need to be right all of the time, otherwise I will have to give back my narcissist card.
I see. So you've got a narcissist card. I've got a nerd card. Okay,
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So
yes,
I'm going to gaslight you.
Well, it's fine. You and Microsoft both. The So what? How far through with the Thrones books are you? You finished them?
I've done 3.
Okay.
Audiobooks. Let's just keep saying that, audiobooks, because I can't read
it's still books.
Books on words.
Unless there are
books on
audiobooks
words.
where some of the words are left out, then I suppose there's a difference. But I don't know that's more like an audio play or something, isn't it? I would have thought. I don't know.
It is. And I started the Thrawn books before, because I never really watched Star Wars Rebels when it first came out. So I caught up with it later, because there's something about some of the cartoony Star Wars that I just can't get into. But at Rebels, I caught up into later, and I got really into it. But I'd already listened to one of the Thrawn books before I started watching Rebels. So when Thrawn appeared in Rebels, it meant an awful lot, not meant more to me, but there was a feeling I got that I think you probably didn't get if you saw Thrawn first in the cartoons, because when he appears in the cartoon, you're like, holy shit, this is Thrawn. And the books, the books are brilliant. The Thrawn books are fantastic. The background of him and how he came into the Empire and all that kind of stuff. The lore there is brilliant.
And and it's the only bit I can think of where Star Wars actually skirts any of the extended universe, skirts around the concept of racism.
Yep, and the Outer Rim.
I found that quite. Oh, geez, indeed.
Let's not talk about skirting the Outer Rim. Yes, we're going back to those websites that you don't visit.
Yeah, we are. Well, I'm just going to say, just in case, for the listeners and all, partly because I made this same mistake when you started talking about it, and I'm quite happy to be wrong, and I will, and as I will be about to say, but just for anybody that isn't sure what he's talking about, that is Admiral or Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Star Wars Extended Universe, and not what I thought Ginger Eye was saying when he started talking about it, and he was just pronouncing throne oddly, and I was just like, why is he referring to them as the Throne books? Fair enough. Well, those are other audiobooks you might want to read or listen to at some point. Throne books.
I can read audiobooks far faster than I can read normal books.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But no, I would highly suggest that if you can stomach the audiobook or stomach the written book, that the Thrawn books are the Thrawn Ascendancy or something. But interesting.
I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 Thrawn trilogies. I think that's how it works. Yeah. I think I have them both. I think those are all books I bought at some stage.
Oh, they're very, very good. Thrawn's a fascinating character. Absolutely fascinating character.
The only other extended universe books that I have, I think I might have occasional books from here and there, but I read what the hell's it called? The New Jedi Order, I think. Quite a lengthy series of books, but one of the more interesting ones in terms of consequences.
Okay.
Like it's there's quite a lot that's significant that happens in those, which I quite liked. But I've always had a bit of an issue reading the Star Wars Extended Universe books in particular, because there's just an element in there. I mean, I can't comment on whether they're well written or anything. It's not like I'm an author, but there's a bit in them. Indeed, there's a bit in them. There's an element of just every now and again. There's something about, I don't know, like Han feels an experience that was like when he was in the Millennium Falcon going along the Death Star trying to like, yeah, we know. We don't need you to, fine. You would just every now and again an opportunity is taken to hark it back to the movies, hark it back to the quote unquote real stuff. And it just, I found that a little tiresome. It's not everywhere, but it just occasionally was there.
The bits that I didn't like about the Extended Universe books were the lack of moving pictures.
Fair enough, yeah.
Which is the same problem I find with most books.
Yeah. Or indeed somebody telling them to you. That was,
Yeah, indeed. I think I'm going to sneeze, so I might go mute. Chris, entertain people for a second.
Okay, I'm into. My avatar's doing a dance.
I thought you were actually going to go into Inspector Gadget there.
Oh, yes. I was. There was some. There was some kind of an inspiration when I first started doing it, but it was. It wasn't. It wasn't gadgets. I don't know what it was. But then I
Go,
decided,
Gadget,
no, I'm not about
go.
to sing on this.
No, me
Nope,
neither.
not going to sing. Nope,
Not going to
not
sing.
going to sing.
Never going to sing. Anyway, we
But yes,
veered a lot from the Mandalorian there into Thrawn.
we have, yeah.
And then
Hey,
Inspector Gadget.
here's the thing. On the Mandalorian, I will say I do not believe that is Disney Plus's best Star Wars.
Okay.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
But I think that I personally would suggest that Andor is head and shoulders above it. I loved Andor. Really just could not get enough of it. I just was just in awe at how good that was. Amazing storytelling, amazingly well performed, amazingly well filmed. It just was like, this is grown-up Star Wars.
I haven't watched
Just
it.
loved it. Have you not?
I watched some of the first episode.
Wow. And had to stop, or?
I have this horrible ADHD habit at the moment. If the first 15 minutes haven't caught me, I struggle to stay. But usually, if I do stay, I then get caught.
Yeah.
I think the volume of streaming services and volume of streaming shows has ruined me from being able to skip to one to the other. So Andor didn't catch me in the first 15 minutes. I will go back and give it a try again. And this is the same problem I have with lots of the Marvel shows, is they don't catch me. You know, so Hawkeye didn't catch me, She-Hulk didn't catch me, WandaVision
catch me.
WandaVision
Oh yeah, baby.
Sorry, you like a twerking Hulk.
I like a green Hulk. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. But Andor didn't catch me. But I could say something really controversial here that I think would hugely upset you.
Okay.
I figured out what the best current streaming service is, in my eyes.
And what would that be?
Apple TV.
Oh dear. Oh dear. It's not upsetting me. It's not upsetting me. But I don't know. I mean, there's good stuff on Apple TV. I'll take nothing away from that. I have seen good stuff. There's one series in particular that I really enjoyed, which I think is still airing. Or maybe not airing, but it's still an active series. I think it's finished. I forget what it's called. But it's the one about the alternate moon landing. So the Russians landed on the moon first.
Okay. Well, that one I haven't watched.
Okay. Well, it's good. It's good, high quality drama. It's I mean, it's not West Wing, of course, because nothing's West Wing, but it's up there. It's some very, very good, very, very good drama. I enjoyed it an awful lot. And I quite liked what they seem to be doing in that, a bit like the not nearly as good in terms of quality, but compelling in terms of story. And this is where I'm absolutely rubbish. It's where my memory is just appalling because I can never remember anything. It's one that was on, I think it was an Amazon one, and it's all about our solar system, people up in space, but there's Earth and there's Mars, and then there's the Belters, and there's all this political stuff going on in it. And then
I know the one you mean. It's got Thomas Jane in it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It hit in the first series, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called either.
And it's one of these series where they'll take it to the end of the series, and then there'll be consequences, and then the next series won't just be the same. It'll be right, okay. So the whole thing has changed. Let's move it forward a bit and let's do this. And they did that with this other show on Apple TV, which I quite liked. Not just long form storytelling that can sometimes feel a bit too much, like 2 series to tell you a story that really could have been told in 1.
Yeah.
Or in fact, really 1.5, and the other half has been filler and is quite obviously so.
Yeah.
So I quite like that.
It starts with an E.
I've nothing against. What's that, sorry?
It starts with an E. That show starts with an E.
Oh.
And I can't remember.
Yes, The Expanse.
Expanse.
The Expanse. That's the one. Well done. Yeah, and it's I think For All Mankind might be the Apple TV show.
Okay. So the thing I like about Apple TV, I don't know if you remember the earlier days of Netflix. networks, not when it was discs being sent out, but when they started commissioning their
Yeah.
own shows, and they took a bit more risk. The content was actually really some of the stuff that they were doing was really quite good, yeah.
Ah.
And then they just started spewing it out like TV networks.
Throwing money at anything.
At anything.
Yeah.
Well, Apple
I'm
TV,
pretty sure we could get a Netflix series.
well, let's try with these avatars, no less.
Yeah.
But what Apple TV seem to be still in the selective phase. So I'm not going to say that there's nothing on there that's trash, but the stuff that I've dabbled in. So Ted Lasso, I know you're not a big football fan, but Ted Lasso is brilliant. It's so funny.
I've heard it's very good. Yeah.
It's so well done, and it's a people show. And then I started watching Shrinking with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, which is like a dramedy type thing, and it's really quite funny, but also quite touching. And just as a dabble in these shows and see the stuff that's coming, I think there's one called Severance as well, which is about somebody, you go into work and they wipe your mind when you come out. So you got two personalities type thing.
Okay.
Which looks really interesting. And I'm looking at the shows coming down the pipeline that they're showing and that they're currently advertising, and they all look interesting. If nothing else, they look interesting. Whereas Netflix, Prime to a certain extent, and Disney Plus with the overwhelming number of Marvel and even Star Wars shows that are coming out, it just seems a deluge of ill thought out, rushed out content. Apple, as much as I'm not the biggest Apple fan either in terms of what they do, but they seem to have taken the right starting tone with their content as quality over quantity. There's not a lot on there, but what is on there seems to be good enough. I'm not saying there's not trash on there. I'm sure there is trash somewhere on there. I haven't really delved into their films yet. It's just their TV shows that I've looked at. But I was quite impressed. I got a free trial. I didn't pay for it. I got a free trial for 6 months, or not free trial. I got a free thing through 6 months through my phone contract. But it is one of the.
That won't be a Samsung phone then.
Yes. Well, it was a Samsung phone.
A Samsung phone that give you an Apple TV.
Well, it was the operator. It was EE.
Yeah. And it's not like it's a Samsung TV. Yeah,
I've got a Samsung
TV.
True.
Yeah, but it's. I'm saying it's not like there is Samsung TV.
Samsung TV Plus. No.
Yes, they don't really compete in that particular market.
No, but I would say the Apple TV, in terms of the shows, it's the only time that Apple have shown any originality.
boom,
boom.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to take a swipe there.
It's well, I mean, it's style over substance, right? So they're always going to be good at TV.
But the substance seems pretty good as well.
Yeah. No, that was a cheap shot. I admit fully.
No,
I don't disagree. Don't disagree with what you're saying, but then it's that thing as well. It's if there's enough. I suppose they've all got a sea level, right? And what you're looking for is the stuff that emerges above the sea level.
Yeah.
If what Apple are doing is producing more that appears above the sea level, and I would completely agree with you, Prime and Netflix just aren't just now.
No.
Like Prime in particular now seems to be in the business of pleasing, lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Like Clarkson's Farm and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's not good or anything like that, but it's not.
Have you watched it?
No. I've heard some about it, which is supposedly it's quite funny. It's quite an amusing watch.
Clarkson's Farm is one of the best TV shows ever produced.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on record and say that. Clarkson's Farm is brilliant, and it's not. Yes, Clarkson is Jeremy Clarkson, and the people around him take the piss out of him incessantly.
Yeah,
but what you learn about our farming industry. When you get past the fact that he buys a Lamborghini tractor, when you get past that, and you can laugh at all the issues he has with it because it's a European tractor, doesn't have the right connections and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff you learn about farming and how tough it is, which we all kind of know anyway, but it actually hammers home how tough it is in Britain with the weather and climate that we've got and everything else. Produces great crops, obviously, etc., but the timing of everything and how it's done and the impact the different government decisions and things like that have on the farmers and stuff like that. It's got to be, for me, one of the best TV shows ever produced. I mean, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant.
I have to say, well, I'm not in a position to disagree with anything you've said, and I have also been in the world. It doesn't sell a show to me.
Well, that is one of the best TVs ever produced.
Yeah, but yeah, I've heard
There's loads
enough
of
about
boobies
it
in
that
it.
it'll be interesting to have a look. Even that's never sold a movie to me.
Mhm.
But the yeah, it feels like lowest common denominator TV. It feels like you were saying before, no risk TV. No, there's no challenge there. It's like, right, we've got Jeremy Clarkson here. He will bring us eyes on our product. We'll make something with him in it, and fine. It just felt a bit that kind of ways.
I'd agree with you that about the Grand Tour. The Grand Tour was very much that.
Yeah.
Clarkson's Farm, I think, probably was the biggest surprise that Amazon got when that did well. I think they were
Perhaps
because this came about when the three of them signed up to do Grand Tour. They also signed up. Part of that deal was they got to do their own shows of their own choice. So James May did a cooking show or a food based show. I can't remember what the little one Hammond did, and obviously Jeremy Clarkson's was this farming thing, and I would say that there was a chance of it being quite funny and not very impactful at all. And I think it's actually flipped the script a little bit. I think people were probably surprised. I was surprised about how good it was. I can't even remember why I watched it because I had no interest in it when they were advertising it. So the marketing didn't catch me at all. I think I was just bored one day and I just stuck it on and it did, within 15 minutes I was hook, line, and sinker into it. And
no,
yeah,
and I mean, I must be something to it. The very fact, because I was like, no, I have no interest in this, and that was absolutely fine. There's enough people have told me enough about it where it's like, I might throw my eye over at some point. So that I mean, it must do something, right? But
yeah, and I think
yeah,
it's that information piece, learning more about farming through not through lecture but through entertainment.
You're still
And the
not selling it to me.
difficulties.
I do not particularly want to learn more about farming.
Neither did I. But oh my god, it was so interesting. I mean, so interesting. Everything. So try and imagine something you have no interest in at all,
Farming?
ever. Yep, there you
No
go.
offense to farmers, but
And then imagine something that makes you hyper interested in it that you weren't expecting. That's Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah.
It's the Charlotte Flair of farming shows.
What's Charlotte Flair making me interested in?
I don't know. I thought you were a Charlotte Flair fan, so I referenced
I
Charlotte Flair.
like Charlotte Flair, but not to the extent where, and I don't think I'm a fan of anybody. I don't think I'm a fan of She-Hulk to the extent that I would watch something just because She-Hulk's in it. And I like She-Hulk better than Charlotte Flair.
Do you? Holy
yeah.
Goodness. Holy goodness.
Something about just that little bit further out of reach. What with her not being real and stuff.
Yeah, the CGI.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more in reach than you think, actually, these days. Chat GPT. Code me She-Hulk.
Yeah,
code me She-Hulk adult entertainment.
What will we ask Chat GPT? We should have gotten Chat GPT to write a script for this, shouldn't we?
I could do that for the next one because there is going to be a next one. We'll do this every 2 weeks or something. I don't know, something like that.
Sure. I can sacrifice an evening every couple of weeks to speak shite to the
shite. Yep. So yeah, we maybe just ask Chat GPT. We like these things. Give us a set of topics to discuss. Obviously, I absolutely will not tell you what those are in advance, so that you have no time to prepare, get your thoughts together. You can sit there with your eyes shut all you want and think. I wonder if you paint on eyes. If you shut your eyes and you've got them painted on the back of your eyes, if your avatar will keep the eyes open.
I don't know. I'm probably not going to try that because then I'll forget I've done the thing in the eyes and then that's turn up at work and it'd be
freak the shit out of people.
Yeah.
We will ask ChatGPT. You could ask ChatGPT right now. If you've got it open, you could ask ChatGPT how to make a successful podcast. And then realize that for the last however long we have done the exact opposite of that.
Yeah. So how do I make is it make a successful podcast? It's more what do I talk about?
What would I talk about on a successful podcast? Well, this is going to be thrilling listening this pause while ChatGPT spits
Yeah.
out.
I've asked it, what do I talk about in a podcast to make it successful?
I bet it says
and now it's doing the blinky thing. So it'll either come back with an answer on ages or it'll tell me network error. It's been doing that a lot recently.
Has it,
you'd think this was busy or something.
I'm AI. I cannot make opinions on things.
No, it's coming back with an answer.
Okay. What have we got?
So it's what you talk about is just one of the factors that can make a podcast successful. It points out, which is fair. But here are some tips for podcasts. So it's actually answering the question that you wanted me to ask.
Yeah.
Choose a niche. It's essential to have a clear idea what your podcast is about and what niche it belongs to. Pick a topic that you're passionate about and that you think your audience will be interested in. Okay. So we've failed on that one.
See, I'm not sure.
Wrestling and movies was our first suggestion.
I'm not sure I agree with that because what I've noticed is the successful podcasts are more about the personalities than the topic. Look at the Joe Rogans and the things like that. They talk about all sorts of shit. But
I have a feeling that your Joe Rogan's going to get a bit of an audience to start with, though.
That's true. That is true. But I think there's a space for this middle-aged white men complaining about shit. I think there's a space for that.
I don't know. I have a feeling that Ralph Garman's going to kick me out of the Garmy if he thinks we're competing with him.
I didn't even know you were in the Garmy.
Yeah, I joined his Garmy. Over pandemic lockdowny times.
Wow.
Most days I don't listen to it, but sometimes I do. Again, it's one of these things. It comes on at a peculiar time, and I like if I could listen to it at work, that would be absolutely perfect. But I can't listen to it at work because too many other things require me to speak, and then by the time I get home at night, it's like, well, I have other things to do now, and da. So,
yes,
we're screwed in so many of these rules.
They say like be entertaining, be gregarious.
No, but number 3 is be consistent. It's important to have a consistent schedule for your podcast. Oops.
Every 2 weeks or so.
Every 2 weeks or so, yeah. Every 2 weeks or so, and then we'll have a gap for 2 years, and then
yeah.
We were consistent to start with.
Yeah, we are consistently inconsistent, which is a consistency of its own.
We are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Promote your podcast. I did that. Engage with your listeners if we had any.
Yeah, we keep asking for people to engage with us, and they're like,
we did an interview one time, for God's sake.
Yes, we did. I'm pretty sure I can get more people to do interviews. I'm pretty sure that I could ask a couple of guys to do interviews with, but we don't want interviews. We want conversations. This is Two Fat Gingers have a conversation.
We do. We want conversations, and there needs. I think for that we would need a hook. We need as much as we love to say that we are. Once we are the Two Fat Gingers established, then our conversations will be of interest to people, and people will come because of conversation. I think that the problem we have just now is that we don't have a hook for somebody else to come in and speak to us. Like it's Two Fat Gingers and one random other person having a conversation. I know that there's
we're random enough at the moment, I think.
So you know what? I'll say this. Create engaging content. Make sure your podcast is interesting, informative, and entertaining. You can interview experts, share your own experiences and insights, or share stories that listeners can relate to. Possibly we do that. There's one about improving audio quality. Yeah, we've done that. Have fun. I would suggest we do that.
Oh, I enjoy it. I don't give a shit about anybody else apart from our audience. We love you.
Yeah,
all 3 of you.
I don't know. I think that's 7 tips, and I think for the most part, we have attempted to follow those 7 tips.
It's the niche thing. I'm not focused enough to have a niche because we could sit and talk about movies. I can talk about movies all day long, but there are weeks go by that I watch some TV or we'll play some games, and I won't watch a movie, and then I'll spam like 14 movies in 3 days or something like that. So that's all very well. And again, I could talk about horror. I could talk about the absolutely terrible horror film that I watched by Neil Marshall the other day. You remember Neil? So the guy who did Dog Soldiers and The Descent and all that kind of stuff. Well, he's now doing films that go directly to Shudder. And he did one called The Lair.
If I'm honest, Dog Soldiers for all I enjoyed it, would not have been out of place going directly to Shudder.
No, that's probably if Shudder was around back then.
Yeah.
But Descent was good.
Did-
Dog Soldiers was good in that.
Yeah.
But The Lair was. I watched a film called The Lair, and it was apart from one scene where somebody gets his face ripped off, because I like the gore, obviously. Apart from the scene where one guy gets his face ripped off, it was pretty awful. I've got to be honest. Which was disappointing because when I saw that Neil Marshall directed it, even though it didn't have the best reviews, I thought, well, he's got certain flair, but this just felt paint by numbers very much.
Yeah.
Very much paint by numbers.
Yeah.
And it had, you're talking about like in Katie Sackhoff, it had Jamie Bamber in it, who was Apollo in the Battlestar Galactica reboot. So we're circling the square now,
Yeah, we are.
We're
circling the rectangle with the corner chopped off, which was always a thing that baffled me in Battlestar Galactica.
Or we're circling the drain, possibly.
If we're circling the drain, then we are showing way more survival instincts than a spider, because we've circled this drain for years.
That's true. Life feels like it's circling the drain sometimes.
Yeah.
No, let's not depress our audience.
No, let's not depress them.
Yeah.
Let's not depress them. I have a subscription to everything. I bought all the subscriptions in the pandemic, including Shudder, and I think it's still active. And I think the last thing I watched in Shudder was something Empire told me existed and had an article in it, and I just thought, I'm watching that because it's fascinating.
I hope this is what I think it is.
Well, I don't know because I can't remember its name. An absolutely batshit crazy animation.
All right,
animation, not animation. I don't think animation is the right word, but maybe it is animation. But it's stop motion, and it's just utterly mental. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's by a guy who's done lots of stop motion. I can't remember what it's called. I thought you were going to talk about Psycho Goreman.
No,
I thought it might be Psycho Goreman.
No.
Did you see Psycho Goreman?
I did not know.
So that's a batshit crazy film as well. Shudder's got a few batshit, but that stop motion one was good because it's on the list to watch. I haven't watched it yet.
It's I don't know if good. It was compelling. I couldn't stop watching it. It was repulsive. I mean, it's like,
I like that.
Not, yeah, it's not like like beyond gore. Like everything looks sticky and covered in crap and just gross. But at the same time, you're just watching it going, I don't know what's going on. Why is this man with a briefcase? Why does he have a briefcase? What's in his? What is going on here? Why is he walking through that? What is that strange thing up the top? That it nearly ate him. But just mental, absolutely mental.
Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
But I enjoyed it. I would have to say.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow,
well,
so I know what I'm doing tomorrow now.
Well, you enjoy. It was it was one of those. Usually, if I'm watching something, it'll be second monitor, right? So I'll have a game on the first monitor, or sometimes not, and on the second monitor will be a show or a movie or whatever, or a YouTube or something. And it's a good sign when something can make me stop doing whatever I'm doing on the other monitor and pay full attention to second monitor. This one made me stop it on second monitor, switch the computer off, and sit down on my couch and put it on the big TV.
Oh wow!
Like it was like, I have to watch this in higher resolution than that, or not higher resolution, but like bigger TV.
Yeah.
It was just like, what am I even seeing? It was it was that. And it's been a long time since someone did that. So
yeah,
but yeah,
I think
that was worth.
Do you remember Peter Jackson's early films?
I do. Yes, there was
Bad Taste and Brain Dead.
So why am I thinking Scanners then? So maybe I have something like an idea, but yeah,
I think Brain Dead was called Brain Scan or something. And
we watched one of them at yours once.
Yes,
one that I'd not seen. The one with everything exploding into custard.
Yeah, that must have been Bad Taste. Yeah, that was his very first one. But yeah, his second one is probably for me one of the goriest films I've ever seen. So if it's up on that par, if it's up on Brain Dead par, then I'll be happy because they don't do many. There's not many films that are gory and that clever and entertaining. I still haven't seen Terrifier 2, so Terrifier 2 might be on that level by the sounds of it. But
this, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't describe this one. I'm not sure I would describe this one as. I mean, there's a little gore in it, I think, from memory, but it's just one of those things that just. I don't know. It's hard to say. There was a show that I remember watching. I think it was a Channel 5. I think it showed in, it wasn't a Channel 5 show, but it was only showed in here. A really bizarre one where I was quite certain that it was a weird sci-fi thing, odd sci-fi. Difficult to tell if it was a high budget or a low budget because it was odd to see some of the places budget was being spent and stuff. It was very peculiar. I want to say it was called Lex.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I was convinced for a time that it's like they are flying a penis. Their spaceship is a penis. I mean, I know the testicles were made out to look like bug eyes, but that looks like a penis. They're flying a penis there. That's surely a penis that they're flying. And it was just there was just a weirdness to that program. And at times I seem to recall when they were on the spaceship exploring the ship itself, where they just kind of was it the one where they would go through walls and the spaceship was like kind of organic and stuff.
I never really watched it.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a disgustingness to it, and it was that disgustingness that I remember from this movie. But it's certainly compelling watching. It's certainly a movie I'm glad I watched, though perhaps not one I will go and try and find again. Though I might, in a weird mood, I might.
So you're triggering. You've just triggered me because there was a film back in the 90s, I think it was, that was like a parody film, but it was like a booby. I don't know, if you remember the Confessions films, Confessions of a Window Cleaner and stuff like that, which were kind of body British, not quite
60s and 70s
movies. Lots of boobies and stuff like that. There was one in the 90s called Flesh Gordon.
Oh, I've heard of Flesh Gordon.
And the ship in Flesh Gordon was a penis. The rocket ship was a penis.
I thought Flesh Gordon was earlier than the 90s.
I've definitely wasn't
memories of finding seeing that. No. Do you know what? 1974, apparently.
Flesh Gordon was 1974.
Apparently so, according to Wikipedia. I mean, wow. So, pinch of salt and everything. Yeah, I seem to vaguely remember it being something I'd see in VHS stores and going into video rental and stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I had a sequel, I think. There was a second one.
Maybe even a remake. So there might have been a later remake. Maybe that's the one you were thinking of.
The second one was 1990, apparently.
Okay, here you go. So Flesh Gordon meets the cosmic cheese leaders.
Cheese leaders.
Cheese leaders.
I just remember it being Flesh Gordon 2, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we've come to the end of this conversation.
Yeah.
I think this is a good place to stop. Before we delve into anything.
Yeah. Rugsy Flesh Gordon, that takes it in a direction, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes, it does. Indeed.
Well, if you've made it this far, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not sorry. If you made it this far, well, it's your own fault.
Well done.
And I mean, that's God bless you. But you should probably get yourself checked out.
The warning signs were there. The warning signs were there.
Yes. Do we put warning signs up in front of this?
Warning: this may entertain you or send you to sleep, depending on your emotional fortitude.
Hey, we haven't been sweary.
There's been a couple of shits.
I think so, but I wouldn't say that's sweary. Like, YouTube wouldn't take us down.
No, absolutely not.
Or demonetize us, in fact.
No.
So,
No, we've been fairly good that way.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Long live us as respectable adults.
We put this up on YouTube. We could make I don't know, maybe as much as 15 pence in ad revenue.
15 pence? Wow.
If a lot of people.
The viewers flooding in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
the avatars.
I'm not sure what ad revenue on YouTube is actually like, but I think
apparently it's quite good compared to other apps.
I still think we've got to get a fair amount of listeners or watchers before we make 15 pence though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hey, if you did it, we love you. 15 pence.
Big fan. Christmas Carol. Every year, my wife and I watch the Christmas Carol, the Jim Carrey one that was animated by Robert Zemeckis. And at the start of it, he takes obviously the coins off of Marley's eyes. Yeah. But they're supposed to be the boatman across the river Styx. He takes the coins off, and the people look at him aghast. The Undertakers look at him aghast because that's obviously not the thing to do. That's to pay the boatman type thing. And he rubs the 2 coins together and says, "Tuppence is tuppence." 15 pence.
Tuppence is tuppence.
15 pence.
15 pence. Can I just say, just to kind of bring us sort of full circle and hark back to previously, that when you say the Undertaker looked at him askance, is that when he does the thing with his rolling eyes? He rolls his eyes back in his head and sticks his tongue out. Is that when he looks at you askance?
No. What?
Yeah.
Aghast.
An
I
Undertaker
thought I said
joke.
aghast.
Oh, maybe you said aghast. It doesn't matter. The joke still plays. I just made an Undertaker joke.
Oh, God.
See?
Yeah,
See?
he's retired. I forgot he existed.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things of him being interviewed on YouTube, and I've seen a few of them over the last few years, and it is interesting to see. He lightens up. He's lightening up as he leaves the Undertaker persona behind him. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah.
He seems like quite an affable, bantery chap, but like initially, the very, very first ones you'd see, he was still quite serious and still.
Well, kayfabe was a big thing to him when he was coming up.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's taking him a while to.
Yeah,
taking it a while to shirk. I can completely understand. It's taking him a while to take the coat off, but yeah, he seems quite an interesting chap. It would yeah.
Maybe we can get him on.
Yeah, get him in Stone
Mark
Cold.
Calloway. Yeah. Yes. Stone Cold. We'll do your podcast if you do ours.
Yes, we'll happily share a beer with you.
Yeah.
You can advertise. You can advertise your Stone Cold Pale Ale till you're blue in the face. I will happily drink one with you.
You drink Stone Cold's Pale Ale. Excellent point to leave this. Excellent point to leave this. Thank you, everybody, for listening this far, although none of you have. If you have listened this far, come on to Twitter and @2fatgingers us and say, "Shut up, you fat gingers." So if you make it this far,
hashtag
shut up, ginger fatties.
Yeah. Yes. Shut up, ginger fatties or ginger fannies?
Fatties. Let's go with fatties because it's less offensive. Okay. Because we are fat. We can own that.
We can.
We
can say it, you can't.
Exactly. You can't call us fat, but we can call each other fat.
Yes. This is the hard F. You're not allowed to say it.
It's like that Jimmy Carr joke when you've heard this Jimmy Carr joke. Maybe you haven't. Somebody approached him after a show and he'd made fun of fat people and they said, "You're fattest," and he said, "Well, actually, I think you'll find you're fattest." No. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Yes, I took a minute to play it properly in my head. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Audience are laughing. Audience are laughing.
Yes. Probably at me, and that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem.
That was a pause. I was shocked by that pause, but anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long day.
We've ended. This will be the third ending of this podcast.
I know, right?
We've ended it twice before. Right. This is the hard end, though.
Yes. The hard R.
The hard stop. This is the hard stop for the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please come again. We will be doing this probably fortnightly. We'll try.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try and be consistently inconsistent because that's the expectation. But yeah, come back and who knows what the next one will be about. We might talk about politics. We might talk about gender reform, but we're most likely going to talk about films, TV, wrestling, and games. To be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Missing you already.